Hey everyone, it's Kevin, and in today's video, I'm going to tell you the truth about health at any size. If you want to control what you eat and control your body, then hit the subscribe button, and if you want to speak with me personally, there is a link below. Health at any size is an idea that you can be healthy no matter what your weight is, and that your weight doesn't determine your health. Although there are a lot of things that I agree with this philosophy, there are a lot of things that I don't agree with. And in this video, I'm going to share my common ground, but also I'm going to tell you why I don't think this is a really good philosophy. Saw Health at Any Size several years ago. I think it started with Linda Bacon. She was showing some data that suggested that obesity wasn't that bad, that being overweight wasn't that bad. And in some ways, it's not as bad as we're being told, but I really have some objections to this, and I have some problems with it. Another place where I agree with Health at Any Size is weight discrimination. I don't think it's cool to discriminate against people who are obese. Okay, they're normal people, they have goals, they have feelings, and I don't think we should be calling people fatty or fatso or there's a bunch of other four-letter words we could use for them, but I don't think we should not hire them just because they're obese. Now the thing is, we're humans and we like to make snap judgments. We're always judging people, even though it's not cool to judge anymore. Truth is, we're always making subliminal judgments about people. We're always making an opinion about somebody based on what we see. We're superficial creatures. It's just an easy way to get information on somebody. I don't think we should have anti-discrimination laws against overweight and obese people. After all, what is overweight and obese? But again, it's not cool to stigmatize somebody for being overweight. Yes, they have a problem, and they probably already know that. We don't need to treat them differently or speak to them differently just because they wear a different size of pants. First, I want to say that weight loss isn't the end-all be-all. It should never be the focus. You should always be focusing on establishing daily healthy behaviors that make you healthier, that make you feel healthier, that are actually healthier. When you focus on behavior, weight takes care of itself. You shouldn't do the opposite and pursue some number on a scale and assume that you're going to be healthier. A lot of people lose weight or are skinny and are at a healthy weight, but they're not necessarily healthy, or they have a preoccupation and an obsession with healthy eating. Some people who are technically overweight, according to some BMI calculator, which I really don't take seriously, they're fine. Their blood pressure is good, their cholesterol is good, their triglycerides are good, their A1C is good, and they don't necessarily need to lose weight. Doesn't mean they shouldn't, but it doesn't mean that they're metabolically unhealthy or that they are at a greater risk for heart attack or heart disease or some other chronic condition. I also think that medical advice needs to be a little more nuanced. As medical professionals, especially MDs, we can't just tell people, I'm not an MD, I'm a PT, physical therapist, but we need to say more than just lose weight. Okay, exercise and go on some diet. That is not sufficient advice. What we need more of is more tailored. We need more tailored approaches like dietitians and nutritionists, but we also need more habit change. And that's why I created this channel, to help you create healthier habits. Because once you create healthy habits, then the weight kind of takes care of itself. But the medical community has not done a good job of doing this, and maybe that's not their job. Maybe their job is only to prescribe medicine. What we need more of is lifestyle modification. I'll summarize here. Focus on behavior, not so much on the weight. The weight won't make you healthy, the behavior will make you healthy. So those are areas of agreement with Health at Any Size. Yes, there is too much emphasis on weight. You see all these commercials and all these programs that promise you weight loss. I think that's an unhealthy obsession. We shouldn't be focusing on that. We should be focusing on the habits needed to create that. But here's one of my problems with Health at Any Size. Health at Any Size for me is almost like a form of nihilism. Doesn't matter how big I am, doesn't matter that I'm obese, doesn't matter that I can't move, I'm still healthy and I should just love my body. This is really disabling, because what it does is it makes you believe that your current situation, that being obese, is okay. And that's not true. Even if you were healthy on the inside and your blood sugar and your blood pressure were perfectly fine, would you want to be so heavy that you can't complete daily tasks, that you can't work or play with your kids, that you can't go up a flight of stairs, that you're breathing hard all the time, that you can't sleep and you need a CPAP machine at night just to keep your airway open. Even if obese people did live just as long as normal sized people, which I don't think they do. I think when you look at the numbers correctly, that's not true. But even if it were true, would you want to be that big? There are so many other reasons to lose the weight other than to improve your A1C in order to extend your lifespan. I don't know a lot of people who are 85, 90 who are obese. Obesity is a sign of compulsive behavior. It's a sign of an eating disorder. It's a sign of chronic dieting. It's a sign that something is wrong. People who lose weight look better, feel better about themselves, have greater reports of self-esteem, and their lives are almost always better in every way. I don't know anybody who's lost weight and regrets it. Everybody who's lost weight tells me, including my patients, that they're really glad they did it. It's easier to move, it's easier to live. People who lose the weight, they look at themselves in the mirror and they have a greater sense of self-esteem. Probably because they made some changes in their lives. Maybe they were eating a lot of junk food before, now they're not. Maybe they were being couch potatoes before, now they work out every day. Okay, they adopted some behavior and they have some sense of accomplishment, and I don't think this should be discounted. Just because they didn't need to lose weight on paper doesn't mean that there was no reason to lose it. If you look at yourself in the mirror and you realize that you're sloppy and you're overweight and you don't like the behaviors that you have, you shouldn't be sad about the weight. What should upset you is the behavior that got you there. And that should inspire change. And usually when people lose weight, they adopted at least one or two new habits that they applied consistently over time. And I don't think we should discount that feeling of accomplishment. I deal with so many patients who have broken bones, or they have hip replacements, knee replacements, or they have some condition that makes it difficult for them to move. And I'm telling you, it is so much easier to rehab when you're at a normal weight than when you're overweight. When you're overweight, it's hard to get out of bed. It's more work for the caregiver. It's harder to walk. It's putting more stress on all of your joints. Having all of that extra weight on your body doesn't make the rehab process any easier, ever. So if you ever do get injured, or if you ever have a joint replacement, trust me, you want to be at a normal weight. In fact, a lot of surgeons won't treat you, they won't operate on you if you're above a certain weight, and they will require you to lose weight. Talk about motivation. The next reason is because certain cancers like uterine cancer and cervical cancer are positively associated with obesity. It is not true that obesity has no deleterious effects. Once you look at somebody's highest recorded weight, not their current weight, but if you ask people who have been obese and ask them what their highest recorded weight was at one point, yes, there is a positive correlation with many forms of cancer. In fact, there is evidence that 8% of cancers are obesity related. That if that person had not been obese, they wouldn't have developed cancer. Fat cells release all sorts of chemicals and hormones into your blood, and these chemicals can increase your risk for cancer. So it is not true that you can be healthy at any size, because a lot of this excess fat, or adipose tissue, if you want to call it that, can be carcinogenic, meaning it can increase our rates for cancer, and it can lead to some pretty nasty things down the road. And just based on my own experience, people who are obese are at a greater risk for high blood pressure, higher rates of A1C, higher fasting blood sugar, everything. I don't know too many obese people who also have healthy habits. Usually when you see somebody who's obese, there is something going on, okay? Man, they're binge eating, or they're night eating, or they're not eating the right foods. I don't know anybody who eats a good diet, works out every day, gets 7 or 8 hours of sleep, feels happy and fulfilled, and they still manage to be obese. Unless they have some severe metabolic condition, or they have some sort of like brain tumor, I don't know, some severe case. I don't know anybody who has healthy habits and ends up obese. I haven't seen it before. One of the claims of health at any size is that people are naturally bigger than others. And while this is true, some people have bigger bones than other people, the truth is the obesity rate, at least in the United States, has skyrocketed since 1980. This doesn't make sense, and it contradicts the entire idea of health at any size. If people are naturally bigger, why are they naturally bigger today than they were 40 or 50 years ago? If you look at pictures from the 1950s and the 1960s, you don't see a lot of fat and overweight people. Yes, I just said the F word. This suggests that something has changed in our environment, and I think it's the quick access to cheap, tasty food. Cheap, tasty, and convenient. As I explained in a previous video about eating disorders, we can have food delivered to our front porch. We can have food, for any type of food, delivered to our door without any work. All we have to do is press a button on our phones. We have 24/7 grocery stores, vending machines, gas stations, parties all the time. It's not that hard to get a lot of food. This to me explains a lot of the obesity that we see. It's not because people are naturally bigger. It's because they have access to food in a way that wasn't available 40 or 50 years ago. And also look at people in East Asia, particularly South Korea and Japan. Although obesity rates are rising there, their obesity rates are much lower than they are here in the United States. So are people just naturally smaller in Japan than they are here? And why were people smaller or thinner, more petite, whatever, 50 years ago than they are today? It doesn't make sense. In fact, they've done research on Japanese people who have moved to Hawaii or the mainland United States, and over the course of 10 or 20 years, they gain a substantial amount of weight. So they were naturally small in Japan, but now they're naturally big in the United States. No, it's because the diet and the environment changed. People aren't designed to be 50, 60 pounds overweight. They're not designed to have BMIs of 30, 35. It's not natural. Yes, your body likes to store fat for that rainy day, but not so much fat that it's impossible to move and that you can't avoid a predator. If you need to move, if you need to walk, if you need to go up a flight of stairs, you need to be able to do that. And when you're obese and you're carrying 100 extra pounds, it's not easy to do that. Let me ask you this question. Is your life going to be easier with a 50-pound weighted vest or harder with a 50-pound weighted vest? I think you know the answer to that. So obese people are more likely to have high blood pressure, high levels of A1C, high blood sugar, high rates of abdominal fat, the visceral fat, or what we call metabolic syndrome. So obese people are more likely to have diabetes, high blood pressure, high levels of A1C, high fasting blood sugar. It's harder to move. They have higher rates of certain types of cancer, and they have lower levels of self-esteem. And it's also harder to live when you have all that extra weight. I hope I've made my case here. This is why I don't accept health at any size. If you have excess weight to lose, then you need to start losing it. One of the reasons why it's so hard to lose weight is because I think our approaches have failed. Losing large amounts of weight in a short period of time, going on crash diets, doing keto, making drastic changes overnight. These are all reasons why diets backfire, because it's too much, too soon, and what happens is the brain rebels, and then the next thing you know, you're binging, or you have some other unusual, abnormal behavior. There are right ways to lose weight, and there are wrong ways. And like I said, don't focus on the number, don't obsess about the number, focus on the behavior. When you stop the binge eating, when you stop the night eating, when you stop the compulsive eating, when you stop the mindless eating, the distracted eating, weight tends to come down. You don't need to adopt some crazy diet in order to start losing weight. You can make some small changes today and start moving the needle. And fortunately for a lot of obese people, because they weigh so much, those initial pounds are easy. So get the ball rolling, get some quick victories. Lose that first pound. That's what I always tell people. Just lose the first pound, or lose a kilogram. It takes a little longer to lose a kilogram, but you get the point. Just focus on that first step. I hope you found this video educational and entertaining. Remember, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and if you want to speak with me, there is a link in the description box. What do you think? Do you believe in health at any size? Can you be healthy at any size? Let me know in the comments below. If you liked this video, I'm sure you'll like one of the other videos that you see on the screen. Click one of them, and I'll see you there.